This isn't a video that I wanted to make, but in the past 2 months, I've received death threats, sexist and racist comments, and enough harassment to the point that I had to lock down my channel and stop streaming completely. And this all happened because of false accusations that are spreading online about me. But before we get to the
Receipts! Proof! Timeline!
hello, you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. If you're new here, I adore RPGs and cozy games, and I cover them a lot on this channel. Now, a bit of lore about me: I started this channel 5 years ago when COVID was rampant everywhere, and life in Lebanon was falling apart. This is why I always wear this necklace. This is the cedar tree. Imagine one day waking up to find out that banks have taken all of your money. Like, all of your savings are gone. This is what happened to us. At the same time, the Beirut blast happened, where innocent people lost their lives, the country was going through severe power cuts, violent riots, collapsing currency, and the list goes on. So when I say that gaming and this channel saved my life, I mean it. It's not something that I say lightly. In fact, gaming has always been my safe space. It's been a way for me to connect with my dad, and it was a way where I could play a game and find a little bit of joy in a life that was mostly terrifying. You know, I even remember when I was a kid, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it and just remembering what happened. I was hiding under my bed while I literally would see missiles just like dropping a few minutes away from my house. And I know this got dark very quickly, I'm sorry about this, but I feel like it's very important for you to get a little bit of a background story about where I come from. But on a good note, after all of this struggle growing up, I managed to move to the UK a few years ago, but my family still lives in Lebanon, and we're gonna get back to that later in the video. Hopefully this also answers to the many comments that I've received making fun of my accent. English is not my first language. In fact, I speak 4 languages. I speak Arabic, English, French, and Romanian. Yes, gaming also helped me when my family moved to Romania for 7 years before we moved back to Lebanon. So when I started this channel, I made 2 promises. The first thing was bringing RPG lovers and cozy gamers together so that the nuance of, oh, you have to play X and Y game to be considered a real gamer is just shattered. I also wanted to bring people joy by playing games that I myself loved and maybe they would love as well. And the second promise I made was to always speak honestly about games, regardless of whether I received a review code, a sponsorship, or a PR package. And my channel shows you that. I've openly criticized games when I had bad experiences with them, even if they gifted me a code or they sent me a PR package. And I've also had my fair share of videos where I talk about issues concerning different video games, which led to situations that I'm gonna share with you where companies completely cut me off. This is why this entire situation is so upsetting. There's a current trend on YouTube where content creators are fueling so much rage and hatred towards other content creators. And in my case, Not Malcom has made 3 videos about me, with a 4th one that's apparently in the making.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2
4.
of them.
He used my face in one of his thumbnails, labeling me as fake, while the other 2 are uploaded as members-only videos. So more content about me was moved behind a paywall, meaning people are even paying to watch these videos and spread even more hatred about me. If you see sped up footage from him talking or stuff that is being blurred out, this is just to make sure that my channel remains protected, because YouTube sometimes falsely issues copyright strikes, and I genuinely don't want to be dealing with this right now. Now, from what I've seen, including in my own situation, Not Malcom takes selective clips to build misleading narratives. So when he made his first video about me, he ends up pinning a comment in that video where he's acting surprised and he's saying, "I know most of you are intelligent with your criticism and I appreciate that, but I have to say I don't condone anyone leaving cruel comments about someone's appearance, voice, accent, gender, ethnicity, or anything like that. I already had to delete several comments on this video." So he acknowledged that a lot of his viewers were making very cruel comments about me, yet he still continued to make more videos about me. And one of the things that worry me about his behavior is his repeated focus as to why I haven't responded back.
Well, she didn't respond at all.
The reason why I didn't respond to him is because I wasn't planning to. With the amount of things that he had taken out of context, which I'm gonna show you today, and all the false information he shared, and considering everything that I was dealing with, yeah, it just didn't make sense. I have openly discussed that I have been diagnosed with severe chronic pain. It got so bad to the point that this whole arm would just go paralyzed when I'm trying to use my keyboard or do my work. And on top of that, we are going through an ethnic cleansing in Lebanon right now as we speak. So I'm traumatized. I am so scared for my family's life. I don't know if I'll see them again. Yeah, I'm sorry if responding to not Malcom was the least of my concerns. And you know, he's actually included some of my footage in his previous videos before, and yet when I looked at his channel, just a quick look, I saw all of the negativity and the hatred that he does. I understood the nature of his content, and I didn't feel like I had to defend myself against that. So Malcom in the Middle's first video was him commentating on a live stream that I made, reacting emotionally to a comment that Josh made about me. Here's some very important context that you need to know about this. Josh and I were very good friends. In fact, I've met him before he even did a face reveal. There was a real friendship here. We supported each other, we collabed many times, we would spend hours on Discord doing productivity sessions. Anytime I saw his videos succeed or he would get opportunities to work with companies he dreamed of, like Marvelous, I would get so happy for him. And naturally, because of our content, we share very similar community members. We used to talk on a daily basis, and he knew exactly the ins and outs of how I approach sponsorships and how important transparency is for me. With that in mind, Josh insinuated that my opinion on Starsand Island should not be trusted because the video was sponsored. So we're gonna break all of this down. If you don't know, a before you buy video is my version of a review where I critique a game and I give you a conclusion of this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdict. It's inspired by a channel that I love a lot called Game Ranks. This is a formula that my community appreciates a lot because whether I like a game or I dislike it, I will still find reasons why you will feel the opposite. My goal in my before you buy video is to break down the game for you and let you decide if you want to buy it, regardless of what my verdict is. Now, in terms of Starsand Island, it's a game that I've been excited about for a long time. We played a very early demo on stream. I adored it. I made a video on it. I even mentioned it in my rankings video last year, and I said it has the potential to be revolutionary. When the game was launching into early access, I got the opportunity to work on a sponsorship. I was so excited about this. Starsand Island, if you're not a demo, you're in the S tier. I feel like Starsand Island can be a game that can cause a massive positive shift in the farming sims genre.
You also have a contract that gives the company sponsoring you editorial control over your video.
And here's the thing, there was no contract between me and Renaissance PR, which is the agency that was managing the campaign for Starsand Island.
Her contract prohibits her from expressing that in any manner that could harm the game. Furthermore, 9 times out of 10, sponsorship contracts state that the brand has the right to review the video before it's published.
The truth is, I had no talking points, there was no contract, the company never reviewed my video, and they never told me what I can and cannot say. In my before you buy, I talk about how much I love Starsand Island, but I also spend 6 to 7 hours criticizing the game. For now, I am struggling a bit to feel like attracted or like, ooh, you know, I want to know this person and that person. I talked about how I was not invested in the characters. Yes, they have lore about them that you can see on their bio in your in-game phone, which I do appreciate, and I love how the community comes together through the main quest and the professions. But I emphasized multiple times that the characters need a lot of work, we need more diversity, as well as many other issues. If NPCs are cabbages, but the gameplay loop is great, I will be hooked on a game. Now that you have a bit of context about my and Josh's friendship and the reality of my before you buy video, let's go back to what Josh did. There was a discussion on his Discord server about how come Miss Bubbles had a positive experience with Starsand Island, whereas Josh had a negative one. Instead of pointing out that we have always liked and disliked very different games, he took a screenshot of the paid ad tag that was on my video, and he dropped it in his chat and said, "Random reminder to look out for this icon, especially when something is a review." If his comment was posted at any other time, I wouldn't really care. I would just see it as, you know what, this is his opinion and that's fine. But to post that at the exact same time when the conversation was specifically about me and how come my experience is different than his, yeah, that wasn't just a random comment. To be fair, considering Josh has previously recommended to his viewers to buy a game that he was doing a sponsorship for while asking them to avoid another one in that same video, yeah, I really wouldn't have thought much about it. What hurt me even more is the way that I even found out about this. A mutual community member reached out to me and sent me screenshots about the conversation on Discord. Imagine, they were trying to defend me because they understood that it's wrong to say something like that behind your friend's back. Her alias is Princess Little Piddles. And look at what she said on his Discord. She said, I just wonder how this would make her feel, knowing she has streamed games with Josh and everything seemed rather fun and whatnot. If she was to see what was said, basically that she can't be trusted with her review of the game cause she was paid, it feels bad to see it, and I'm not even Miss Bubbles. What's even funnier is that another community member who goes by the name Keiki said, to be honest, I'm not surprised she was more positive in her review. When the early previews were out, she's been very vocal about her excitement and also still pointed out flaws and other issues as well with the game. Imagine how upsetting it is when you realize that a friend that you trust is saying stuff like this behind your back to an audience that you both share. This context is so important to explain why I was so upset, frustrated, angry, and sad during my live stream. I felt completely blindsided and disrespected by Josh. What Josh ends up doing is deleting that comment. So if this mutual community member didn't even tell me, I would be naive today, thinking Josh is a good friend. I would have never found out that this is what he actually thinks about me. When I confronted Josh about this privately, what upset me the most was he made it clear that he's not gonna publicly apologize nor clarify that we've always had different opinions on games. It takes a lot to get a reaction like this from me. I give people so much grace even if they've done me wrong. But this wasn't the first time Josh has impacted me negatively. Looking back at how I reacted even 2 months later, I said it again and I still have the same sentiment. I lost all respect for Josh and I don't want to be associated with him anymore. He had no empathy for me and all he cared about was buckling down on what he said. I see his private apology to me as damage control because he got caught. I cared about Josh, but he didn't care about me at all, and it was heartbreaking for me to realize that. And this brings us to the not Malcom situation. He frames my emotional reaction on stream as a mere,
Looks like she didn't take too kindly to someone bursting her bubble.
that's far from the truth. You know, thinking about it, in Lebanon we have a saying that says, خاف من الموج الهادئ. It means fear the calm wave. So for us, we're not fearing someone who is visibly angry and upset and sad because they've been heartbroken. It's normal for them to react that way. And when you add on top of it everything that I was personally going through, from the pain and the traumas that are happening back home during this current genocide, it's not surprising that I reacted that way. Also, to clarify, in my stream I said I made sure karma will get him, and I found it strange that Not Malcom constantly uses that clip, which some of his viewers have framed as a serious threat. When I said that, I meant that I believe karma will catch up to people, and I pray that people are held accountable for the harm they cause. This is what I meant.
You guys know how many times I've been dogpiled by the Sims community, by Inzoi fans. I've gotten death threats. You will find endless hateful comments about me.
In this members only video, Not Malcom talks about his own experience of having his words taken out of context and being harassed because of it. Isn't it hypocritical that he has went through this, he knows how damaging this kind of rhetoric is, yet he's doing it to other people?
And I ate his ass up. Figuratively, I mean.
Adding salt to the wound, I later see Josh in the comments of Not Malcom's video. Josh was still failing to give context behind my reaction, and I find that so odd, especially when he himself was featured in Not Malcom's videos before. And Josh told me that he felt the coverage was misleading and incorrect. And wait till you hear Not Malcom's insane allegations about me, which have zero truth behind them.
You are not special.
Not Malcom consistently frames my stream in a misleading way. In that stream, we covered my approach to editorial freedom, experiences with different companies, contract amendments, my Starsand Island coverage, various issues surrounding the game at the time, including the fact fact that this sponsorship had no contract. I also explained how I knew that the bot reviews were fake because the agency directly told me so before Starsand Island even wrote up their announcement.
How the hell are you so certain that they weren't responsible?
He also criticized me for saying that many of the issues I experienced in Starsand Island would likely be fixed because the game was in early access, and he framed that as if I'm lying to protect the game. But most of the issues I discussed were in fact addressed within a couple of weeks, except for the main thing that's still being worked on, which is the romance content and character stories. Considering this is an early access game, I've played so many of them, the issues that I faced are things that I've seen addressed in so many games before when they were in early access, including games that we all love like Coral Island, my time at Sandrock, my time at Portia, and many more. And something that I see happen a lot in media, especially video games, people struggle to accept that someone might really love a game that someone else hates. Like, you're going to see meltdowns happen, and imagine how worse it's going to be when that person also happens to have had a sponsored video about said game. In my videos and streams of Starsand Island, there was so much incredible feedback about the game. So many people bought it and they were having a great time, and others did not enjoy it, and that's okay. People are allowed to have different experiences. Then we have the worst part, where he puts together a montage of me in the most misleading way possible. He pulls my sponsorship list from 2025, and the way that he structures it makes it seem like I don't do anything but sponsored videos on the channel.
She's fucking Michelangelo sculpting away at a masterpiece of a video.
He doesn't tell you that I finally got recognized by companies after spending hundreds of hours playing games, reviewing them, scripting, filming, editing, building a channel for 5 years of hard work, while at a time I was filming videos under candlelight. I finally had a year where I got a good amount of sponsored work. And I don't understand, why is he so panini pressed? Like, this is so normal. Companies have fluctuating budgets, and that determines how many content creators they can sponsor or not. You're gonna have times where so many years can even go by and things are mostly quiet, and other times where it's very busy, even up to a year. That's normal. In fact, my channel barely had enough sponsorships to stay afloat before 2025. Even in that stream, I said that I was blessed to have had so many amazing opportunities this year.
In this live stream, Miss Bubbles even brags about how she's been so blessed, and that's why she gets so many opportunities.
In contrast, this year, for example, I had very few sponsorships. And what's important is that despite that, I was still criticizing games. I was still creating plenty of unsponsored videos that helped thousands of viewers save money and find games they love. I continued to talk about different controversies that were happening, like Moonfrost, who barely anybody was even discussing. Nothing changed with my approach to my content. I still kept to my promises that I made to always be transparent with you. And what is odd is how I see content creators making sponsorships and how he sees them. When I see my peers have many ads, I'm so happy that they get to talk about their joy and they're getting compensated while still maintaining integrity. It's so frustrating to see a woman's hard work and professional growth framed as dishonest. And here's the dangerous part. For him, his answer is, well, naturally, if you have a sponsorship, that's it. You're dishonest. We cannot rely on anything that you say.
You have a contract that limits what you can and cannot say. A contract with a non-disparagement clause that prohibits you from saying anything that harms that game.
So not only did we clear that everything that he has claimed about my sponsorship with Starsand Island is false, there wasn't even any contract there, he also fails to mention that most creators amend their contracts. As a creator, you can negotiate contracts, you can ask for changes, and when a company refuses, you have the choice to walk away. It's so worrying when misinformation is presented as a fact,
which states that you cannot do or say anything that is negative, derogatory, or harmful to the brand,
when severe harassment is happening because of it. Here's a clip from my friend Sunpai, who unfortunately also got hate from another channel, and she says the same thing.
I will never promote something that I don't like. For instance, when I sign a deal with a brand, I'll make sure the contract is fully how I like it, because it's between two people. I will edit it, I'll take things out, I'll say, no, sorry, I don't agree with that, I'm taking it out, and I will speak how I like about every single game.
So here's an actual example of how I respond when a company asks for restrictions around my criticism and editorial freedom, or when they ask me to sugarcoat their game or glaze it, as Not Malcom likes to say. I've blurred some of the things out of respect for the studio. So this was sent in October 2025. My content must remain completely independent. I know how to deliver fair, constructive feedback and will always be honest in my coverage. I won't sugarcoat or alter my opinion. The contract must include a clause allowing constructive criticism. If the game's quality at launch is lacking, I must retain the right to either address those issues honestly or withdraw from producing the video altogether. And to give you even more proof about all of these things that he claims about me are incorrect, I made negative videos, for example, about Exceed games. So I did not like Story of Seasons A Wonderful Life whatsoever, and I also did not like Trinity Trigger. And yet, here I am still getting sponsorships with them, and not once did they ever dictate what I can and cannot criticize. In fact, last week I worked with them on a Moonlight Peaks video where I said the game has potential, but I pointed out so many negative points that need work.
You have a contract that limits what you can and cannot say. You have a contract with a non-disparagement clause that prohibits you from saying anything that harms that game. You also have a contract that gives the company sponsoring you editorial control over your video. These things are standard across every single sponsorship.
Here's also a segment that I added in that video, and to give you a better idea of how I approach sponsored content on this channel, I pulled this right from my email with them. If you're new here, I only work with companies that give me full creative freedom and editorial freedom. This is my way of maintaining my ability to be transparent with you, so that way I can tell you about all the good and the bad as well. When I'm dealing with so much harassment because of people like Not Malcom, I just have to do this moving forward. Now, of course, there will be companies that will stop working with you. For example, I got this message from an employee at a company telling me that I'm blacklisted by agencies because I made videos sharing controversies behind games to raise awareness. I've had so many content creator mutuals reach out to me, and they said that they're so scared to criticize games because they don't want companies to cut them off. But I always wanted my channel to one day inspire them and anybody else who wants to try content creation. I want them to know that you can be true to yourself and your community and you're gonna be okay, especially women like me of different ethnic backgrounds. So when Not Malcom says statements like this so confidently,
Cozy gamers and influencers don't like addressing anything that could be perceived as too negative.
I get so confused because my channel is the complete opposite of that. Another example he gives about me is my sponsorship with Animal Lanook, where he claims that I said Animal Lanook is amazing because I played it, like I tried it.
Even though she's never even played it.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That is not what I said. I never said that. The next cozy game is not out yet, but I have the pleasure of announcing it to you today, and I already know I'm gonna be obsessed with it. Let me show you why. When you're doing an ad for a game that isn't out yet, the developers will send you a brief with what the gameplay mechanics are going to be. So knowing that, I described the gameplay, which I knew is something that I'm very likely to enjoy. The game is free to register for, and I never forced anyone to buy it. Another issue that's concerning to me is something that he said in this members only video. He says that he plans to turn the information that he has found into a public video.
You've never seen me this unhinged before. I'm definitely going to talk about it in an upcoming video.
So let me address this here because I just have zero interest in any future videos that he's making. Basically, he received an email from Instant Gaming, which he has done plenty of sponsorships with. So they were asking him if he wanted to work on another sponsorship. Now, the person who approached him, Claudia, also reached out to me in 2024 and 2025. Now, in that video, he mentions that he suspected that he's been underpaid, which is a very important point.
And I knew that they were definitely underpaying.
Now, when it comes to me and my content creation friends and colleagues, we have a Discord server where we openly share our rates, and this is our way to make sure that we're not being underpaid. So this is how I learned that Instant Gaming severely lowballs creators. So when Claudia asked about my rates, I pushed my rates up, and mind you, my rates are still so much lower than other content creators who have an even smaller channel than mine. In Claudia's message to Not Malcom, she frames the conversation between me and her as being not smooth. And what he does is he uses that to make it sound like she had a horrible experience with me.
She must have had a really bad experience with Miss Bubbles.
Here is my and Claudia's email thread. They're very friendly, even though she said exactly what other creators had warned me about. Basically, to her, my channel is not worthy of higher pay. I actually emailed Claudia because I was so confused and I wanted to understand, where did I go wrong? Why is she framing our conversation as negative? I was also concerned because our private email thread was now being shared publicly, especially when it was being used to negatively frame me and misrepresent the nature of our interaction. Claudia answered back and she said, "Thank you for reaching out and explaining how the situation feels from your side. I sincerely apologize that our email exchange and your rates ended up being shown and discussed publicly. I'm very sorry for the upset and frustration this has caused you. When I forwarded your email to Not Malcom, I shared it privately as context for a potential collaboration and never expected or intended for it to appear in any video or be talked about publicly. I completely understand that this feels like a breach of trust, and I deeply regret that my actions contributed to you feeling exposed and misrepresented. From my side, I always experience our communication as professional, and I never wanted to portray you or your work in a negative light. My comment about the email not being the smoothest experience was a clumsy way of describing my own side of the negotiation, not your professionalism, and I can see now how hurtful that must have felt. So yeah, you can't make this shit up. I really hope that moving forward, when you see stuff like this, do some fact checking. Don't let just a random person come on the internet and rage bait you into hating someone that did nothing wrong. In an industry where content creators are often undervalued, our rates are severely undercut. Payments for work that we've done are late up to 6 months at a time, and our platforms and hard work are taken advantage of without proper compensation. And I found his behavior in that video so odd. He mocks my work that I'm so proud to create, work that I spend weeks on researching, editing, scripting, filming, and just working on. On top of that, he's using his large platform to discuss my rates and suggest that I don't deserve to be paid this much. None of this is okay.
Remember, little old me, up until December, was getting $300. And by the way, Miss Bubbles' channel is half the size of mine.
Even if my channel has fewer subscribers, I've consistently uploaded a significantly higher volume of content over the years, and I've been making content for longer than he has. He has 135 videos compared to the 350 that I have, which, by the way, it was actually 450 videos, but I ended up unlisting a bunch of them, especially streams, because I became so much more vigilant that there are channels out there that take clips out of context and make misleading content about me just like this. He also does this thing where he converts in the video my rates from Great British Pound into USD to make the numbers feel a lot more inflated and more shocking to his audience.
2,000 pounds, that's like 2,700 US dollars.
I live in the UK, I don't live in the US. We use the Great British Pound here, not USD. So reframing my rates the way that he did feels intentionally misleading and is just sensationalized. It's really bizarre that I have to sit here and explain why I charge in the first place. Imagine if you're in my place and a stranger is just publicly discussing whether you're worthy of your salary while also mocking the work that you're doing. And mind you, what hurts even more is that I was underpaid for sponsorships for the longest time until my circle of friends openly shared their rates with me and I realized that, yeah, I was being taken advantage of.
That is $60,000 that she made from sponsorships.
I don't know how he came up with the 60K figures. I wish, if Not Malcom has that money, like, can you please share it with me? If you know where I can find it, like, can you let me know? And you know, since he is presenting himself as someone critiquing sponsorship ethics,
I don't care. I think it's unethical each and every time, and I will die on that hill.
I think it's fair to mention that he has taken sponsorships from BetterHelp. If you don't know, this is a company that offers mental health help and services, but it has public controversies, including privacy concerns where they're sharing users' health data, and also a lot of practices that they do which are very anti-consumer and defy their whole goal of helping people with their mental health.
They're like Fiverr, but for mental health.
And I'm not bringing this up so people go cancel him or spread hate towards him. Please don't send hate towards anybody, because if we've learned anything today, yeah, harassment does not work. All I'm saying is, if we're going to discuss sponsorship ethics, that standard should apply consistently across the board. You can disagree with my reviews, dislike my videos, say that I'm wrong about a game, it's all fine. But spreading false information, removing context, mocking my work, discussing private business details, saying I'm not worth being paid, and repeatedly bringing me up even after some of your audience has already harassed me, this is all far from okay. And for that reason, I'm drilling this point in. I am not interested in any videos that he makes about me. Between the death threats that I've dealt with, the trauma that I'm going through because of everything that is happening back home, I reached a point where I wish I wasn't here anymore. I quickly reached out to my therapist and my loved ones because I can't tell you how gut-wrenching that feeling is. It's so scary. And I want to take this as a chance to let you know that if you've ever felt like this, please know that you're loved, you're not alone. I'm going to pin helplines that you can use. I hope that you help me move forward from this. I don't want to hear about Josh or not Malcom or any other drama. My pain, everything that we've discussed today, genuinely, I am so mentally exhausted. Regardless of how much proof I provide, I doubt this will stop. These kinds of outrage-driven videos perform really well, especially when people are emotionally invested in a specific narrative. But I at least hope that my story lets channels like Not Malcom remember that this kind of content has severe repercussions, and the benefits that they get are at the expense of someone else's well-being. I also hope that this video gave answers to those of you who were concerned and were confused about what happened. Thank you for everyone who reached out to me. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for your comments. I've seen some people defend me in the comments as well. I appreciate you. If you're still here and you're watching this as well, thank you for listening to my side of the story. And of course, as always, a shout out goes to all of our Patreons and our YouTube members. Until next time, stay bubbly.